A package in the mail, MSX games from Japan. Collecting without fail, those shoot 'em ups, that's the plan. He doesn't just collect them, he also codes them too. Join us and we'll go on electric adventures with you.
Hey YouTubers, Electric Adventures here with my channel update for November 2019. Another month gone. Start of summer here too. Weather's alright. Got a couple of patchy days and then it's supposed to get warmer. Now November was the month down here we also called it Movember. We had at my work a staff member attempted suicide, so most of us guys joined in. So I've already shaved it off. It just wasn't me, but I put an embarrassing photo there of myself and a few others at my work. Not everybody was available for the photo, unfortunately, but they did actually raise quite a bit of money. I haven't heard the total yet. I'll probably find out when I go back to work on Monday. But I was happy to take part in an experiment to see what facial hair looked on me. Didn't like it. Probably not going to do it again. But anyway, it was good to raise awareness and for that particular cause. Now, basically for men's health, I should have explained. I explained that for those who are unfamiliar with it. Now, a few other pickups during the month. One, I'll wait till I pick up the camera. I obviously pre-ordered this a little while ago. I'd forgotten about it. So it's the third Psycho Collection, Volume 3 for the Switch. And actually quite good fun game. So it's got Strikers 3, which I've never played before. Gun, Barrage, Japanese name Canyon, and Zero Gunner 2, which is really cool. So see the screenshots there. There's nothing inside other than the SD cards, so it's a bit boring inside. But quite a good collection of shooters between these three titles that have got that, and the S&K classics. Means pretty good. Only bad news is I think it's because my second oldest daughter has moved home and she's the larger video game player, I suppose, out of all my girls. And now the young ones decided to use her Switch again. So I currently do not have my own Switch, so I have to stand in line to be able to play these games. So I have had a bit of a play with it when I first got it, but then I've had a little bit of lack of access to a Switch. The Switch docking station has ended up in our main lounge room though, so there is hope that I can sometimes sneak in there and have a go. Now, a couple other things, jumping around a little bit. So, mate Aaron from the Press On Play podcast arranged a bulk order for us members of the podcast for an Aquarius AV mod from one of the guys in the Atari Age forum, I believe. So it's quite a nice little PCB, very small, not hard to assemble. I've got the harder components here. I've just got to assemble the other bits and pieces. Got a few capacitors and resistors to put it together and give it a go. Aaron actually assembled his today. He was posting a picture of it earlier. If I remember when I edit this, I'll steal his picture and put it up here. It looks like it does a good job. I haven't actually played my Aquarius for a while. I actually only have one game for it, although I do have a tape player, so I could potentially load some others and have a bit of a play of it, but it would make a good video to just get the Aquarius out and have a play of it when I assemble it. So I'll try and remember to record the footage of me assembling this. I'll see how I go. I have promised that in the past, I know. But half the time you just get a bit of time to do something and it's hard to set up video camera footage at the same time. And I'd forgotten that he'd also arranged these. I haven't even taken out the packet, so I'll do that now. So this is for the BBC Micro. I'm sure we arranged these a very long time ago, and it takes so this plugs into a BBC Micro's joystick socket, and it allows you to use normal Atari joysticks, which would be very cool. I actually have a little SD card thing for my BBC Micro with pretty much every game ever brought out for it. So along with this will be, make it a little bit more fun to play the games. I've obviously just been playing with them keys, so this is probably going to feature in a video where I have a bit of a play of that. So I was having recording problems, which I can now fix with some of the other things that I have. Now one more thing before we get up and walk around with the camera to show you some other things. Also, Kickstarter item that I backed was Pat Inez's Punk's next book, which is the Ultimate Nintendo Guide to the Super Nintendo Library. I've only had it for a couple of days, so I've only gotten, I'm not the A's yet. Obviously there's a lot of games to get through, so it's a very big fat book, and it's covering not just the American library, but it's also got the PAL games as well. It's in the American library order, and basically covers whether the title got released in PAL territories as well, and then they've got the titles that only got released in the PAL territories. So 800 game reviews, including those released exclusively outside of North America, promo, special and test cartridges, and a look at some games that weren't released. So I've actually been enjoying reading that, and it's been quite well written. The insides, let's have a look. It does look a little crammed, is the only thing I'll say. So there's not a lot of white space used around, but it's all right. It just takes a little bit getting used to. But each game has at least a column to it. I mean, they do have 800 games to get through. Otherwise, the book would become even thicker. You can see the size of the thing. It's an enormous tome. So for the next part of the video, we'll unhook and I'll show you a couple of things that it's a bit hard to show you from here. One of them is a hint in the background. So for the first one, we have a mess on the floor. Where I go from all my SCART devices on my this part of the room, but in difference from the open source scan converter which I held up last month, this one takes SCART sources that also have composite and S-video as well as true RGB, which is much better because for a while now both my Super Famicom and Genesis, I've had RGB cords for those, and I've had to switch them back to composite to record. But now finally I can record with the straight RGB signal, which of course increases the picture, and also the you get proper stereo out for the Genesis as well. It makes a huge difference to recording. I was always able to record the Neo Geo because that was obviously a composite signal and not a true RGB signal. I do actually have a Saturn SCART cable, which I haven't switched over to yet. I'm unplugged. I'm out of spots on my multi-switch here, but I'm going to rewire a few things and get it all organised. I'm actually going to rebuild this whole game playing area because those of you who've been watching for a little while will know that a little bit of water damage in here, rearrange things, and I'm still not 100% happy with this. I'd prefer a nice bottom cabinet part here and put most of the consoles in there, so maybe make it a little higher, because that's another thing, the TV's a bit low, and then have nothing to the sides except maybe some speakers, and there's a hint that something's coming up in a second. And then maybe, I was thinking I can maybe work something out where I can use, now that I've got all this source stuff going, I might be able to work out something to maybe use a HD TV as well, but we'll work it out. There's still only a certain amount of space here. So going along here, ignoring this mess here, from Gumtree I picked up this setup. So we have a center speaker, two side speakers, actually there's two rear speakers sitting around somewhere as well, a subwoofer and a Yamaha amplifier. It is an RXV373, so it's actually a HDMI capable unit, so it's quite a modern unit. It's actually probably newer than one of the newer units that I have in, well, we luckily have two rooms in our house that have AV stuff in them. So I basically got this for nothing because I fixed somebody else's computer. They gave me some money. One of these popped up on Gumtree, and I asked whether they had the remote, and they said no, so no, that's fine. And then the next day, because I'd searched for that, this one popped up, but it included all the speakers. So I pretty much got this for nothing for fixing somebody's computer for them. So I'm very, very pleased. And the guy bought it ages ago, then moved house. As you can see, he's got all the cables and everything like that, and they've never been used. There's the remote and the manuals and everything all still in most of its original packaging. He's had the amp out and used it with a couple of the speakers, but he's never had all of the speakers hooked up. So, and then he's had it in storage. Obviously, it could still be there could still be something wrong with the amplifier. I won't find that out till I plug it in. But I have all these speakers, which is great. So I'll be able to put out a really nice, setup in this room. So as I said, I'm going to completely tidy up and get this section all tidy and a little bit more organised. So, well, it's not such a mess, and it's, makes it a little more recreational and good if I have friends around and we just want to sit down and play games. So next is on to an update about my arcade machine. So this is my first arcade machine, my Vertical. It's currently got, because I had my nephews over recently, so most of these have got multi-games in them at the moment. So that's my Vertical cab, and it's got a 60-in-1. And then we have my home-built cabinet that has the MVS 1 slot with the multi-cartridge in it. I still need to get some smoke glass for this one. My Bosconian, which is in my Nintendo Space Firebird cabinet. I got that working again. My cat had got into the back and knocked one of the earth wires off, so I fixed that. I really do need to put a back on this, so that will probably be my next project, to finish tidying that up, and then I'm going to get a piece of smoke glass to replace this glass, because as you can see, it's just normal glass and you just get far too much reflection, and it's alright playing it, but it's almost impossible to take a picture of it, as you can see. My original Berserk cabinet, unfortunately, is still not working. I have a complete alternate board set, but it was itself loose. It has fixed my RAM board problems and the soundboard problems, but I'm still not getting past a particular stage. I believe it's either going to be one of the cables going between the boards or the colour board, both of which is not a very complicated board. The whole caboodle comes out here. I haven't replaced any of these cables yet, so, and they are old and brittle, but I will get it working. I just haven't had a lot of chance to spend any time on it. Next we have my mini upright, which I've got made up as a Tutankhamun. That's still, as I've left it, it's waiting until I get the money to send the monitor chassis off to get rebuilt, and that one's finished. And the new addition, which is this one here, I'll just step back a little bit. So this is, obviously it's Mortal Kombat 2 header in it, but this is a cabinet that was built in Melbourne, Australia. So they were quite common over on the mainland. They're quite a nice, clean looking cabinet with a big screen. So this is my mate Aaron's from the Press Play and Tapes podcast machine. He's currently looking at selling his current house and moving to a new one. So he's only recently got this cabinet and it was in storage somewhere else, and he had to move it, and he can't put in his current house because he's got to get it cleaned up to sell it, and then he'll have a spot for in his new house. Now I came here and it wasn't quite working. It had these horrible black joysticks in there. I've just chucked in a couple of spare cheapy joysticks, and somebody had done a hack, what it called, a JOMAC thing, so they could play MAME in it, I suppose, which is a real pity because it actually was quite neatly wired, but they did some creative soldering in there, and they actually damaged the harness that was in there. Half of the buttons weren't working, those horrible black joysticks. So I've just chucked these in for the moment. They look like Sanwa joysticks, but they're not. They're the cheaper variant, so they don't quite. They're all right, but they're not best for some of these games. I've just got at the moment, my 19-1 horizontal. I haven't adjusted the screen at all. It just needs to come down a little bit. It's been on for a while, and the screen seems fine. This this one always looks a little washed out. It does need degousing. We've got a bit of purple there, and obviously a big spot over there. But as you can see, that screen is coming up quite nicely on camera. Now I have completely replaced the wiring in it with a new loom. I haven't completely pulled out the old one. I didn't have any coin ups left, so I've just popped the coin wire through there with a micro switch, so I can quite simply press that, and then we get the lovely music. I'm not going to be able to play one hand. Not today. As you can see, nothing wrong with the screen. Joystick's alright, this is just a little, we'll get used to it. Just commit suicide, so we can quieten that down. Oh, can't even die on purpose. So as you can see, that's quite a workable cabinet. So yeah, so basically my one rule was with him was, yes, I'm happy to look after it, but it has to be working. So I spent a bit of time on the weekend and just got it working, and I don't think he's going to have any problems with that screen. Bit of a degauss. I could maybe adjust it a little bit more, because sometimes these the multi-in-one boards are for slightly different things. You can just see it's probably just a bit too high, and that's all it needs, and a degauss, and that'll fix those colours. And I haven't tweaked any of the monitor settings, and it's quite a neat and tidy machine. It's got a couple of little dings. Oh, missed a spot. Probably could have cleaned it up on the front a little bit. It's obviously got no other decals, and the Mortal Kombat 2 header looks pretty impressive. Then going around, we have my nice cocktail cabinet, which has my space pilot in it at the moment. I rewired that previously, so I still have to go and repaint the glass to make it look a little nicer, and clean up the control panels. But it's workable at the moment. Then we come over here and we have my Sega Galaxian. That's the Galaxian board there. There's the monitor harness for the Tutankhamun mini upright. And other than that, the Galaxian is as I found it. I do have a clone Galaxian board that works, but the monitor harness in this also is suffering from vertical lapse, so that one needs to go off. So I'll probably, when I send this one off, I'll do them both at the same time. But I need to save up the money first, unfortunately. Yeah, that's all for now for walking around the room. That's back to me. Right, so back onto the next bit. I've got a couple other things I'd like to cover. So, good news on the MSX front. You know, I'm always big MSX supporter. Computer I wrote most of my software on, in fact, was MSX. And every year for quite a few years there has been an MSXDev competition. Unfortunately, 2019 has to be skipped because the 2018 one went a bit too long and took a little while to be drawn. But the good news is they're going to be an MSXDev20. So all those budding homebrew programmers out there who'd like to give the MSX platform a go and have an idea for a game, go and enter. It's run over the basically you'll have pretty much the end of 2020 to write your game and submit it to the competition. And there's some, and basically there'll be prizes that are donated by various people in the MSX community. And it's a great fun competition that's been running for a very long time. So I'll provide a link down below for you to go check out the details and the rules. But it's a good fun thing, and if you want to learn how to program an MSX computer, go check out my Let's Make a Retro Game series, which timely piece of information. So I have almost finished my next episode, which is moving on to generating music, because the Coleco and the MSX and Spectravideo have different sound processors. I've got to split this into 2 episodes. So the next episode will be on making music on the Coleco, and then I'll have another episode after that making music on the MSX and Spectravideo. And then we'll move on to adding those new features to the game that we've been working on throughout the series. I also have started on a new book as well. I haven't quite finalised the title, but it'll be something like 10 typing titles for the MSX and Spectravideo, because I have a whole lot of games that I wrote back in the day that were not published on tape. They were actually published, some were published in some magazines, or some weren't published at all. So I'm going to compile those together and put them in a book of typing listings. There'll be a special program that you type in at the beginning that helps you type in the programs in the rest of the book with less errors, but also if you purchase the book, you'll also get a code to download the games as well. So depends whether you want the fun of typing them in or not. And it's not just going to be listings. I'm going to have a little bit of information about the games and how each of them were programmed and things like that. So I'm going to probably get through most of that. I'm having a bit of leave over Christmas, which I'm looking forward to. I'm going to try and catch up on a lot of the things that I've, all the things with retro computers. It's a passion and it's a hobby. It's not my main life. I don't earn my put food on the table by doing this sort of thing. So I do have to, like a lot of other people out there, have a main job and a family and all those sort of things which take up a lot of time. But I really am passionate about retro and old computers and consoles, and I love making new games for them. So especially now, I suppose that's the other bit of news. My third daughter got her provisional driver's license early this week, which means she can drive on her own. That is going to give me back an amazing amount of times when I had to drive her so she could get her hours up to take her test. Plus also other times she may be able to drive our number 4 daughter, yes we have 4 daughters, places as well. So it'll help with giving me back a little bit of time. So I'm looking forward to be able to focus more on my retro development and my series like the Let's Make a Retro Game, which is one of the favourite things that I do on YouTube. But of course there'll be gameplays and other things as well. Alright, I hope everybody has had a great November, and as we go into December, has a good time leading up to Christmas and the New Year, and I hope you all are all safe and enjoying your retro and modern games. I'm Electric Adventures. Thanks to all my subscribers. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.